Welcome to my World Scythe guide. Let me first explain the basic concept of World Scythe, and that is to scythe camp the melee hand and only skip teleports. But it's not so simple as just skipping when the teleport's coming up. You'll have to skip when you're either on tick or one tick after Ulm on an event around the lightning to not lose ticks doing it. The way I'd recommend learning is to try and simplify it to one decision at a time, and this flowchart should give you a good feeling for that. And to simplify it even further, you could just start paying attention to what tick you're on around the crystals, and then wait until you're on tick or one tick after something. This would reduce it to 3 spots where you can turn the head center and skip teleports without losing ticks. The first would be during the lightning, the second being the first auto, and the third being the second auto. Earlier iterations of this method were called things like Lunar Scythe, but that got renamed World Scythe, with each individual cycle being renamed to the nationalities of the people who created it. But for simplicity purposes, I'm going to refer to each cycle by the tick it is in relation to the lightning. So here we have the skips that you'll do during the lightning, and I have it slowed down so you can see very clearly when I'm skipping and where I'm waiting ticks. Similarly, in both skips, I turn the head center and then tank 2 autos and skip the teleport right, but it's slightly different because on one I'll have to wait a tick and one I won't. And these are the skips that you can do during the first auto after the lightning. As you can see, on the left I'll have to wait a tick after doing my scythe hit, and on the right I won't. Lastly, these are the skips that you'll do on the second auto after the lightning. These skip the teleport immediately when you turn the head center, so you don't have to worry about it afterwards. And as you can see on the clip on the left, I click on another tile at the head just as I would on a second hit 7-3 acid walk, and that's a skill that you'll want to pick up because it becomes useful later when we do get into acid walking during World Scythe. Now, while the skips eventually become really easy, the hard part is when you have to deal with these phases like Flame and Acid phase, where you'll probably have to think on the fly about what tick you're going to be on, and also make sure that you're near the thumb when you're going to do your skip. Now, starting with Flame phase, there's going to be 2 scenarios where you could potentially run into problems. The first being when you're on tick with Ulm and Ulm is unscuffed, and the second is making sure that you skip it in a way where you're not locking yourself out, which would make you tank a teleport. Now ideally you always do it like this, but sometimes you have no other choice and it just is what it is. Otherwise you just move to dodge it like you would in any other method. And when you're doing your skips, when the head is center, you can null it so you don't chance a flame while there, as shown here with this one tick after the lightning clip. I null 2 hits, and then I skip the teleport right. Now I didn't need a drag here, but I was unsure on what tick I was going to be on, and it shows that you can drag from this side, which is convenient. And with this example phase, Ulm is going to be scuffed this time, which means we don't really have to worry about attacking on tick with Ulm. West side makes it a bit easier because you don't have to worry about skipping on every auto because you can sit there and null a lot of them. The only autos that you'll have to worry about is the autos right before lightning, so you can get to the area that you need to skip from. And here's a more optimal way to do second auto skips if it's flame phase, for Scuffed Dome only. This allows you to keep damaging the melee hand and not get locked out if he does use a flame wall. Which would be the same way you dodge it on the last Scythe hit of melee 7-3 for Scuffed Dome. But this doesn't work on first auto skips because the flame wall doesn't disappear in time. Acid phase is mostly about preparation. Knowing when your lightning is going to come and knowing when you're going to have to skip the teleport is key to making an effective acid walk where you aren't going to rag yourself. Because then you can use the right hand tiles to give you more space to run. This first acid walk is post skip, so we know we won't have to deal with the lightning or skip a teleport anytime soon. You'll notice I'm making a habit of attacking from the second row. This is valuable for acid phase and crystal phase, as you'll want to be moving on the tick that you attack so you don't rag. Where it gets complicated is when you get it during the skip and you have to deal with things like first row lightning like I do here, and skipping the teleport properly. Basically all World Scythe acid walks are freestyled at this point, so each acid walk will vary, so there isn't really much value in just showing individual ones based on skips. I'm calling this a Lunar Scythe example, and that's because we're using Lance to correct the tick so we can skip the teleport. This isn't exactly Lunar Scythe, but it's the same concept as what Lunar Scythe was. So this is what you can do when you miss your skip timing or can't make your original skip timing. You can use a 4-tick weapon to put yourself on the correct tick. And here I was unable to skip properly because of the flame wall that dropped. So here I was able to just offset myself with the lance and skip normally. Moving into the first row lightning examples can vary depending on what side you're on and whether Ulm is scuffed or unscuffed. But general movement patterns are beneficial here to keep yourself from getting caught by the lightning. So here I have falling crystals and 2 front row lightnings, and I need to skip. But as you can see, I managed to make it work. And this is because I'm making use of moving every tick, which is a good habit to build up. And in regards to the on-tick skip, it's always better to skip instantly during the lightning rather than waiting for the first auto. And this is because certain lightning patterns can make it so you can't skip the teleport. And here in this example, we'll show how it can sometimes be suboptimal to skip on-tick on the first auto. And you'll see when I get this lightning orientation, I can't dodge it normally. Now, on east side, when Ulm is scuffed, anytime you get this lightning orientation, you will get hit by the lightning no matter what, but this is the only way that you're able to actually do it and skip the teleport without losing any ticks. And if this happens on flame phase, you're just gonna have to chance that one auto, it is what it is. This only matters on east side Ulm, because when you're on west side Ulm, the lightning spawns in a closer spot to the hand, and therefore arrives to the thumb at a different tick. And you'll also see that it requires Ulm to be scuffed. And here you can just path right through the lightning. That being said, you should pick your skip based on the lightning orientation that you get. You want to make sure you're reacting properly to the lightning rather than just copy pasting the same skip over and over. You can also attack on the exact tick you need to avoid some orientations of front row lightning, and this is to avoid putting yourself in the path before you need to be there. This is the P3 World Scythe method. And this really only works when Ulm is scuffed because you'll chance flame walls otherwise. Credit to Zetsubo for discovering this method. And once you've skipped the teleport and the healing, you would just do it as a normal flame phase. A reason to do this over mage 7 to 3 is that it uses the thrall a little bit better. And this is where it would be valuable to know mage methods like 2 and 3 tick behind. And this is because when you transition from the melee hand to the mage hand, you might not be able to control the tick that you're on in relation to Ulm. And this is what you could do if you have 2 specs for P3 and want to do that same method. Now you could just use Lance to offset yourself, but we're assuming that you won't be bringing it in most setups when you're doing speeds. And after I turn the head center here, it's the same as doing the 1 spec variant. And this is what you do if he flame walls you on the auto right before lightning. You'll just have to do a first auto skip rather than an instant lightning skip. The only reason you traditionally just instant lightning skip is just so you can null the flame wall anyway, so that's not relevant here since you just used it. In this clip I'm doing the P3 World Scythe method, and there is one auto that you can get flame walled on that will prevent you from damaging the melee hand, so I'm going to show you how to deal with that by switching into mage as quickly as possible. And then after that, you want to keep maging until you know the healing is skipped, then return to the melee hand. And this flame wall not disappearing in time is also why we can't do this flame wall skip and still skip the special on first auto skips, but can on second auto skips. And that'll conclude my World Scythe guide. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment down below, reach out to me on Discord, or reach out to me on Twitch.